finally time to go over a super heavy samurai deck profile. This deck is absolutely mental. It's got so much great and new support from Cyberstorm Access, and I can't wait to show you this profile. So at the end of the video, I'll show you the basic 1.5 card combo. Depending on the builds, we'll adapt how you can get headfirst into this profile. With all of that out of the way, if you want to see more combos, more content from Super Heavies, then smash that like button, getting above 50 likes. In the first 24 hours, we'll unlock duels. It will also unlock test hands and more direct combos. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into this profile because it's absolutely amazing. So we're going to start off with the starters. So, free Super Heavy Samurai Motorbike. This card is nuts. The fact it's a common is like blown my mind of how easy it is to get. So this card allows you to discard it as long as you have no spells and traps in your graveyard and add any Super Heavy Samurai monster except itself from the deck. You can also target a machine monster you control and increase its level by 2. Then the best looking new card in my opinion is Prodigy. So this card is absolutely mental. I love the moon in the background. I love the cherry blossoms around it. Such a cool card. This is probably going to be the most expensive in my opinion because from what I was seeing they were coming out like one a box give or take. But the reason it's so good is Bike gets to this or you just open up this. It's absolutely fine. Its scale effect is if you have no spells and traps in your graveyard, you get to place a Super Heavy Samurai Pendulum monster from your deck, accept itself into the other scale, and then you get to special summon this card. So the other card you're going to be going for is the Super Monk Big Benkei. On top of that as well, if it wasn't enough, again, if you have no spells and traps in your graveyard, you can discard a monster to special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster from your hand or deck in defense. You can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Super Heavy, so that's only an effect you're going to want to activate if you have been stopped at every single point. And then of course the two Benkeis. So I'm not really counting it as a star, it's kind of like the middle ground, but the idea behind the Benkei is if you have no spells and traps in your, you can send a Super Heavy Samurai Big Benkei from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon this card from the hand. It's more so its scale effect, which is where it gets very, very tasty. So if you control a Super Heavy Samurai monster, which you will do off of the back of the Prodigy, you get to add a Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster from your deck to the hand. Now the Souls are pretty much all your extenders, apart from Soul Piercer, which we'll get to in a minute. And then the other direct starters are, of course, Wagon. Now, the reason that this is a starter is so when it is normal or specialed, you can change its battle position. Now, that's very important because you normal summon this, switch it to defense. And then you have the ability to target this face-up defense position card you control and switch it to attack. If you do that, you add a Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster from your deck to the hand. So that's, again, how you can get into Piercer. It's how you can get into Maker and everything else. Now, Piercer is also slightly considered as a starter because you can normal summon this, or you do normal summon it in the combo anyway, link it off into the Scarecrow, and then use this effect in the graveyard, which isn't a once per turn, to constantly keep searching out a Super Heavy Samurai monster. So then the extenders or the combo parts, and of course we've got the one scale, we've got the one Soul Gaia. I like to play the one Soul Claw, Soul Peacemaker, and of course the Stealthy. Now, I've seen builds that play multiple of this. You can very easily bump it to 2 if you want to. I'm kind of happy with it at 1 at the moment, purely because I'm just using the Soul Claw as it is a Soul card, so it can be searched by all of my Super Heavy Samurai cards as well. Can extend themselves. Now these ones obviously target a Super Heavy Samurai, equipped it to it, and then while they're equipped by that effect, you can special summon them. Stealth is just as long as you have no spells and traps in the graveyard, you get to special summon a card for the hand for free, which is insane. Peacemaker lets you tribute the monster that it's equipped to and summon out a Super Heavy from the deck, which of course will be Scales, and then Scales will let you bring back a Super Heavy from the graveyard, which will of course be Soul Piercer, and then of course as long as you link off that Soul Piercer, you'll get another search for any of those. And then the non-engine, non-Super Heavy Samurai engine cards, and that is of course Engine Gear Box, which will search you out your Tunneler. So the idea is that off of Ballista, you search out Box, you then search out Tunneler, you pendulum summon these out, you've got a free level 4, which is going to help you with rank 4 plays or Synchro level 8 plays, and then you've got Tunneler that as soon as you get it to the graveyard, you get to target 5 Earth Machine monsters in your graveyard, put them into the deck, and draw 2 new cards. So if all 5 of those cards are going back to the extra deck, you're getting a fresh 2 new cards. And then your searchers are, of course, the Regulus and the Jizukuru. Now, the reason I've got these mained is, obviously, Regulus, pretty straightforward and simple on this one. This can be searched by 2 different ways in the deck. One of them, I go through the Merry Carrier or Merrymaker into Sargus to search it out. The other way is you summon it or search it out through Cleafort Genius when you summon 2 monsters to a zone it points to. In the combo at the end of the video, I'll show you how you get Regulus, and you also get the Yugioh, and then by doing so, what you've got is you've got an Omni Negate on the board, and then you've also got a follow-up in the form of the Yugioh, which means that if your opponent puts any monster on the board or puts a power play on the board, you can get rid of it very easily. There are other ways of being able to play stuff like Spell Canceller. There are people that play the Cyberstein, and with the Cyberstein, you want to be getting it off of the Platinum Gadget and other such cards. So that's it just for like the starters, the extenders, and the main machines. I'm now going to show you how many hand traps this deck can play, because my god, it can play loads. So just for the hand traps alone, we've got the Gamma package, we've got the Ash package, and then these can all be changed out to whatever hand traps are effective for the format. So there's Draw and Lockbird you can consider. I kind of went with a balance of Ogres, Mourners, Bells, Veilers, Crows. This is just to show you the range you can play. Like if you wanted to make any of these free ofs very easily, so you take out, you go, okay, cool, I want to make Bell a free, I want to play Ochre a free, and I want to make Mourner a free. Done. If you're like, I want to just add in Droll. Done. Like you've got so much flexibility. You want to add in Nib? Sure, you can have 2 Nibs, 2 Drolls if you want to. You can cut some of these out, you can add some more in. It's entirely up to you. The fact that they can play this many hand traps is absolutely mental. Obviously, it does kind of balance itself back out with the fact that it can't play any spells. You could play Sekker's Light if you really, really wanted to. And if Konami bring that card back to 3, my god, this deck's going to run rampant. I really hope they don't bring that card back. Because you need cards that are able to kind of take themselves out of the graveyard. Otherwise, all of your super heavy samurai effects kind of just fall apart. So moving on to the extra deck, we'll start with the links first because this is where they're pretty much going to be dominant. So we've got 2 of the Scarecrow. This card's nuts now. So it's very easy. You just need a super heavy samurai monster. Link into it. It can't be used as link material. So while you have no spells or traps in your graveyard, you take no battle damage as well, which is really important. And if you have no spells and traps in your graveyard, you get to discard a card or discard a monster specifically, target a super heavy samurai monster in your graveyard and special summon it to a zone this card points to. So it's very important that you leave the zone it points to free. Then for the link 2s, I've gone with Lambda just because I'm main decking the Gamma package. So it's quite nice that you have the ability of ending on a Lambda, and then when you end on that Lambda, you've then got that ability of kind of basically saying to your opponent, well, not only are you dealing with a Regulus, you're dealing with a Baron, but you've also got to deal with a Gamma as well. It's entirely up to you. You can change this out. There's a couple of different options. You can go for the Stardust Dragon in order to kind of make sure you can resolve a Stardust play if your opponent does try and nib you early doors. You've also got the new Ninja as well. You've also got Access Code Talker. You've got Abyss Dweller. It's entirely up to you. I'm just showing you different options you can play around with. We've then got the Earth Charmer, IP Masquerena, Ballista, and Genius. All of those cards are now crazy money. And then, of course, we've got the One Nightmare Unicorn and the Appaloosa. So you can see that I've gone with a very defensive route with my extra deck, but you can very easily add in a Access Code Talker if you wanted to. For the Synchros, I'm playing the one Savage, and the ones you're going to go through the most is Axel and Baron. So obviously the idea is that Axel goes into Baron. I am highly considering, depending on how more playtesting goes with this physical deck, swapping out the Lambda and going for a Stardust, just so that if my opponent tries to nib me early doors with the 1.5 combo, which you'll see, you can tag it straight out. And then for the XYZs, I've got the Gigant X with the Merrymaker and the Sargus. Again, this is entirely up to you. I feel the Sargus will become more effective if you choose to leave it on the board if you have Abyss Dweller, because then you've got that ability of whenever you activate Abyss Dweller, Sargus can then pop it. But that's really going to come down to the format that we go into as to whether or not Abyss Dweller comes back into the fold or stays where it is. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it for the profile. I'm now going to tidy up the board state and show you the 1.5 card combo. The consistent 1.5 card combo is all you're going to need to go full ham with the super heavy samurai deck. Now the combo does adapt depending on what else you have, and you do have more ways of getting to the motorbike. This is just the most ideal starter in the entire deck, in my opinion. So you start off by discarding the bike. This will allow you to search out your Prodigy. You put that into your scale, you use its effect to summon itself and put Benkei in the other scale. Use Benkei's effect to search yourself out the Soul Piercer. You then normal summon the Soul Piercer and link it off to go into your Scarecrow. You can then use Soul Piercer's graveyard effect to allow you to add a super heavy samurai monster. So you want to go for Maker, or of course you go for the Gaia. You're going to get both of them by the end of this play anyway, so it doesn't matter which one you get to first. Another point as well is you want to leave this zone completely free at all times for super heavy samurais, because you're going to need it for your scarecrow and you're going to need it for your genius. If you're putting your links on the right hand side, keep both these zones spare. If you're going to put them on the left, keep these two zones spare. So my advice is always put your prodigy to the other end, but it doesn't really matter as long as you keep the middle zone free. The reason that is important is because Scarecrow's effect to discard a card will only let you summon back to a zone it points to, and if you clog this up, you lose Scarecrow. We're then going to sync these two together, and you're going to go into your Axel. You're going to chain link 1 Axel, chain link 2 Soul Piercer, chain link 3 will be Prodigy, and you're going to add the Soul Gaia. So you bring down the Prodigy, goes into the scale, you search out the Soul Gaia off the back of your Piercer, and then you bring back the bike. This is now your 5th summon, so if your opponent does want to Nibiru you, they can do. In doing so, all you'll really be left with is a Pendulum summon as well, plus your 3 additional cards in hand, and your Soul Gaia and Soul Peacemaker. So you're still in a good position. Alternatively, if you're really worried about being Nibiru'd, all you need to do is put a Stardust in the extra deck, because then what would happen is your opponent will go, okay, on summon, activate Nibiru, and you'll go, okay, cool, chain Axel, Axel will tag out to the original Stardust, and then instantly synchro summon into a Baron, and that Baron would be unaffected by your opponent's effects, meaning that it won't get tributed by the Nibiru, and all you will lose is the Scarecrow. But in this one, we're just going to synchro normally anyway and go into the Baron. It's now at this point that you want to equip the Soul Peacemaker to the Scarecrow, tribute it off to summon out the Scales from the deck. Scales effect will then trigger, and this will allow you to summon back the Soul Piercer, because it's not a once per turn, funnily enough. We're then going to use the Soul Gaia. This can be pretty much any extender you want, but I quite like using it as the level 4 because you can now start to adapt your plays. There's different routes you can go for here. There's 2 routes in order to get to the Box and the Tunneler combo. That can come off of the Gigan X, or it can come off of the Ballista. In this one, I'm going to go for the Gigan X one because I also want to show you a route rather than going through the Genius to get into your Ethereum King Regulus. We're actually going to go through that to get a Kaiju, so you've got a guaranteed board breaker for the next turn. So now at this point what you want to do is you want to overlay the 2 that are not Soul Piercer, and you're going to go into your Gigan X. You're going to use this effect to detach, and this is where you're going to get the Box and you're going to get the Tunneler. You're then going to link these 2 together and go into your Clifford Genius. And this is then going to trigger the Soul Piercer's effect. And at this point, it's entirely up to you on what you want to search. I'm going to go for the level 4. So this will give me access to a Savage Dragon if I want to. Or, of course, I can go for an additional extender. Or in this one, I'm going to be going into the Ethereum King Regulus. So we're then going to Pendulum Summon. So as long as you put 2 monsters to the zone that Genius points to, you will be able to trigger its effect. And that's going to allow you to search out your Kaiju. You're now going to overlay these 2 to get to your Ethereum King Regulus by going through Merrymaker and Sargus. Use Sargus' effect to add the Ethereum King Regulus, and then use Regulus' effect to summon itself down by equipping it with a Soul Piercer. You then activate the effect of Baron to pop the Soul Piercer, trigger Soul Piercer's effect to search you out any extender. Now you can go for Claw, you can go for the Samurai. It really is entirely up to you on how far you want to go with this one. I'm going to go with Stealth just because it's technically free. Now at this point it's entirely up to you on how you want to do it. As long as you have no spells and traps, this one will special summon itself for free. If you do go for Claw, you will need a Super Heavy in order to summon it down, so keep that in mind. So going into the Samurai, you special summon it pretty much for free, and then what you're going to do is you're going to link your Genius plus your Tunneler and your Stealth together in order to go for a free negate Appaloosa. Now again, depending on what version you're playing, if you want to go for the Naturia Exterio play, you can do. If you want to get more of your cards recycled back without having to put them back into the main deck, you can get rid of the Sargus. If you can get an additional XYZ on the board, it all continues to adapt. With this one, the idea is just to show you you've got a guaranteed Kaiju to break a board the next turn, because pretty much most of the combos online are all showing you how you pretty much build a board with ultimate hand traps and everything else. I want to show you that you can also search out board breakers as well. You're then going to use Tunneler's effect, banishing it from the graveyard to put back 5 machines. So you're going to go with Genius, you're going to go with Gigan X, you're going to go with Scarecrow, and then you're going to put back 2 cards from your graveyard. You're probably going to want to go with Scales, and then you're probably going to want to go with the Soul Peacemaker. So they're going to go back to the deck. Then, of course, your 3 are going to go back to the extra deck. You're going to draw 2 brand new cards, not to mention your opening hand already started with 3 as well. Now keep in mind, if your combo started off with any additional extenders, you would be able to push that a little bit further. You can go into your Platinum gadget, you can go into an Abyss Dweller. It really depends on the type of build you're playing and how the format takes shape. But I thought in this video, I'll show you a very basic 1.5 card combo. And then if you want to see more designated combos or test hands for the deck to show its consistency, then all you need to do is smash that like button. Getting above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will, of course, unlock that for you. But for now, as absolutely always, like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.